Operations Blackout.
I say it's a good reason. Considering all the kids be walking around the neighborhood.
What the Tennessee Department of Corrections is doing to make sure children in the Mid-South are safe on Halloween. Plus, a community comes together to remember a toddler who police say was stabbed and killed by her own grandmother. And
next to me, everything is gonna be
a look at the Mid-South contestants who battled it out on tonight's episode of The Voice. WMC Action News 5 at 10 starts right now.
With all the day's breaking news, WMC Action News 5 at 10 starts now.
In an attempt to keep our children safe this Halloween, the Tennessee Department of Corrections is out in full force, making sure registered sex offenders are following the rules. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kanji Anthony.
I'm Joe Birch. At least 5 sex offenders are already in custody for not following the rules. WMC Action News 5's Janice Broach joins us now live with more. Janice?
Well, Halloween is a week and a half away. Memphis police and officers from probation and parole started checking on registered sex offenders to make sure they are in compliance. They found several who are not.
I saw a parole board pull up, and there's like 6 guys come out with vests on. Then they showed back up like an hour or 2 later with about let's say 5 or 6 squad cars.
James Marsh and his wife knew something was up on North Willette when they saw all of that at their neighbor's house and then saw Philip Stringfellow being handcuffed on Sunday.
Well, I knew he was on parole, and I knew that he was a sex offender, as he did tell us when we moved in.
Stringfellow, listed as a violent sex offender, is on parole for attempted rape of a child in 2003. He was arrested Sunday in a sweep called Operation Blackout, conducted by the Bureau of Probation and Parole, doing compliance checks as Halloween approaches. Stringfellow is one of several sex offenders recently arrested after a compliance check. Officers checked Stringfellow's phone and found graphic nude photos of himself and a Snapchat account. Police also picked up registered sex offender Kenny Evans, also listed as violent, at the North Memphis home he shares with his father. Police found pornographic material depicting children on his phone ranging in age from 7 to 13 years old. The state puts special emphasis on sex offenders at Halloween because that is when children go door to door.
I say it's a good reason. Considering all the kids be walking around the neighborhood.
The state offers these tips for trick-or-treating. Go with your children. If they do go out alone, make sure you know where they will be trick-or-treating. And check the TBI sex offender registry to know which houses to avoid.
And sex offenders have rules they have to follow on Halloween. They have to be in their homes by 6 p.m. They cannot hand out treats. They have to turn their porch light off, and they cannot decorate their homes for Halloween. Live, Janice Broach, WMC Action News 5.
Thank you, Janice. Tonight, a community holds a vigil to remember the life of a 20-month-old royalty Marie Floyd. Police say that this child's own grandmother, Carolyn Jones, stabbed her and then placed her body in a hot oven. WMC Action News 5's Kelly Cook was at tonight's vigil and joins us with the latest development. Kelly?
Tonight, law enforcement, family, friends, and elected officials all came together to help support each other through this unspeakable tragedy.
Well, I've been having a restless night.
It's been a long week for the entire community.
The love, the support, the sharing that we do there in Shaw, we always look out for each other. And this was really shocking, and it hurt.
People gathered on the Bolivar County Courthouse lawn in Cleveland for a candlelight vigil to remember the life of 20-month-old Royalty Marie, stabbed to death, then placed in a heated oven. The horrific details putting this small Delta city in the media spotlight. New details from the coroner show the child died from wounds sustained from the stabbing and burning, proving the nearly 2-year-old was still alive when she was put inside the oven at her grandmother's house in Shaw, Mississippi. 48-year-old Carolyn Jones facing a first-degree murder charge for her granddaughter's death. Still no word on a motive.
It has been a difference. You're never ready for this type of thing.
Bolivar County Sheriff Kelvin Williams says support is being sent in from the U.S. Marshals to help counsel as deputies if needed. And local mental health counselors with Life Help were also on hand at the vigil to offer support.
Please be aware of those persons who are around you.
Many in this crowd say they don't want this case to define their town.
And my heart will sing.
But they do want the family to know that they support them through this tragedy.
We did ask the sheriff if the grandmother has received some sort of mental evaluation. He could not confirm, but said if that were to happen, it would have to be appointed through the courts. In Bolivar County, Kelly Cook, WMC Action, News 5.
Nice day in the Mid-South. It's turned into a nice night. A little on the cool side this evening, but dry conditions. Our first alert Doppler 5 radar confirming that. Now for your drive in tomorrow, it's going to be a little chilly. About 46 at 6 a.m., 47 at 7, 49 at 8. We'll have a partly cloudy sky, rain not an issue. And as we get into the day, don't expect anything in the way of rainfall either. As a matter of fact, it's going to be dry for the drive home with plenty of sunshine. Tell you more about our next chance for rain, though. That's in my first alert forecast just ahead.
New tonight, a major decline in crime across Shelby County. According to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the number of murders, robberies, and rapes have all declined. From January through September, murders in Memphis dropped 17.6%. Robberies decreased 12.4%. Rapes declined 18.2%, all compared to the very same time period in 2017. In Shelby County, all three violent crimes also dropped. According to new statistics, motor vehicle theft rose in Memphis 12% and 15.5% in Shelby County. Memphis police continue to urge residents to always lock your doors. Auto burglary is one crime that is on the rise. Join us Thursday night at 10. We'll take a look at the vehicles thieves target the most and which areas are hot spots for vehicle thefts and what you can do to keep your car safe. You'll want to watch our special report, Hot Wheels, airing this Thursday evening right here on WMC Action News 5 at 10.
With the midterm elections a little more than 2 weeks away, President Donald Trump is starting the week on the campaign trail. He just finished up a campaign rally in Houston, Texas for Republican Senate candidate Ted Cruz. The president will hold more rallies this week, and he will head to Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Illinois.
Former President Barack Obama was back on the campaign trail as well today. Mr. Obama spoke at a campaign rally for the Democratic gubernatorial and Senate candidates in Nevada. During the rally on the UNLV campus, Mr. Obama took direct swipes at President Donald Trump and the GOP. The former president stressed to the crowd the importance of voting in this election and encouraged all to vote early. Meaning, could the Trump administration be in the process of redefining the word gender? The impact this could have. Plus, shots fired at a television station. What the suspect did that forced a security guard to open fire. And spotting a princess. The spark in the eye of this little girl when she thought she saw Cinderella. And how people are rallying behind her.
New at 10 in Hot Pursuit.
The gray car came flying past. About 20-25 police were behind.
A miles-long Memphis police chase comes to a dramatic end. The thing we've learned about the vehicle wanted by police.
First alert Doppler 5 radar is dry for now, but at this time tomorrow, that will be a different story. I'll tell you how this will impact your Halloween in my first alert forecast.
Shaming voters? We uncover who's behind a mailer that calls out you and your neighbors for not voting. And a virtual competition with real payouts.
It's very fast-paced and it's very rewarding.
The way some students are landing scholarships to play video games in college.
With all the day's breaking news, WMC Action News 5 at 10 starts now.
Tonight, 3 suspects arrested and taken to jail after leading Memphis police on a high-speed chase. Good evening, I'm Joyce Peterson, in for Joe Birch tonight.
And I'm Kanji Anthony. Thank you for joining us. The chase started at Cherry and Willow Streets in East Memphis, ending about 30 minutes later in Orange Mound. WMC Action News 5's Janice Broach has been following the story all afternoon and joins us with the late-breaking details. Janice.
Well, people in that Orange Mound neighborhood where it all ended watched in amazement. They also said it was really frightening when the suspects drove at a high speed through their neighborhood.
I heard all the sirens pass by, and then all of a sudden I heard a boom. That white car, it ramshacked. It rammed the back of the car the two guys was in, and I seen them pull out.
A police chase across the city on the interstate and off. It started at Cherry and Willow and ended in this Orange Mound neighborhood more than 30 minutes later, around 4 in the afternoon. This woman, who did not want to be identified, was waiting in front of Melrose High to pick up her child.
The gray car came flying past. About 25 police were behind him. He threw the black bag out of the car, and they chased him around this way.
The woman says the suspects in this gray Charger police say was stolen were going about 80 miles an hour.
The police, to me, was going a lot slower than the guys.
Neighbors stood and watched the scene for hours as police investigated.
Just wondering what's going on.
Deborah Davis showed up because relatives told her 16-year-old grandson was in the stolen car.
They called me and told me, Mama, come on. We going to get your grandson is in a high-speed chase with some more fellas, and he ain't never been to jail in his life.
When the Charger was towed, you could see damage on the front end and the back windshield broken out.
It was real scary.
Now, people in that chase, police have 3 people from that car in custody. At this point, we don't know what was in that black bag, and we don't know exactly why the chase started. Live, Janice Broach, WMC Action News 5.
Now to Decision 2018. With just 1 week until the midterm elections, some voters are getting a report card that scores how often they go to the polls. WMC Action News 5's Kelly Cook is live. She's been digging into who is behind these mailers. Kelly.
Yeah, remember how nervous we all got when we got that report card every year? Well, imagine if the teacher shared your grade with the entire class. Well, that's what one nonprofit is doing with this mailer, dealing with your voting record. And they say it's all in the name of democracy. We've seen the rallies, the robo-texts, and phone calls, all in an effort to get you to vote. But the Center for Voter Information, based out of Washington, D.C., is trying a different method, voter shaming.
When people call us or have emailed us, their concern has been, it's not business whether or not I vote.
Tennessee Secretary of State Trey Hargett says he's received some complaints about this mailer. That makes no bones about it. They want to share who does and does not vote in your neighborhood in an effort to promote election participation. Let's take Edward, for example. He voted in 2 of the 4 last general elections. He's learning that one neighbor did vote in all 4 and another neighbor only missed 1. But the question is, does that really encourage Edward to go out and vote?
There is some demonstrable proof that it does increase turnout.
Shelby County Elections Administrator Linda Phillips says whether or not you vote is all public record, and studies have shown that it works. The founder of Center for Voter Information, Paige Gardner, told WMC Action News 5, "We have one main mission, and that's to encourage people to vote, especially those most likely to drop off as voters between presidential and midterm elections." Gardner says millions of Tennesseans will not vote in this election. They say this mailer will help. Tennessee's head of elections isn't so sure.
My message for people is I throw it in the trash can.
Now, this group does hide the actual name of the actual neighbor that they're sending this mailer out to protect their privacy. Now, it's important to note that whether or not you vote, now that is a public record. Now, who you vote for, that is to remain private. In downtown Memphis tonight, Kelly Cook, WMC Action News 5.
Tonight, a new poll shows that Marsha Blackburn is pulling ahead of Phil Bredesen in the race for U.S. Senate. A new NBC Marist poll of likely Tennessee voters shows Blackburn with 51% of the vote now, over Bredesen's 46%. That is an improvement for Blackburn, who was trailing 2 points behind Bredesen just 2 months ago.
And WMC Action News 5 is your source for Decision 2018. We'll have up-to-the-minute results and reaction to all the races, from casinos in Arkansas to ballot initiatives in Memphis to municipal campaigns. Our live coverage begins 7 p.m. on your smart devices and WMCActionNews5.com. From the polling places to the speeches and everything in between, make WMC Action News 5 your home all day this election day.
And this just into our newsroom. A jury has now been seated in the trial of a man charged with murdering a Memphis police officer. 5 women and 10 men have been selected for the jury and as alternates. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Tremaine Wilborn. He's accused of killing Officer Sean Bolton in 2015. Opening statements start tomorrow.
Meantime, Memphis police now have an arrest warrant for a man they say tried to kill an officer early Sunday morning. Officers say that they stopped Jerry Moore along I-40 near Appling Road when they say he took off. An officer was partially inside the car, and police say Moore tried to slam the officer into the concrete median. Now, if you know Moore's whereabouts, you're asked to call police.
Nice night in Memphis, 65 degrees. We got clouds moving in, but a first alert Doppler 5 radar finding nothing in the way of precipitation. That's going to be changing, however, and as a matter of fact, we're looking at clouds already streaming into the area, and just to our west, rain starting to line up. That's the rain that will be impacting us as we get on into the day tomorrow. Now, your morning commute's going to be good. I think it'll be mostly cloudy at 6, 7, and 8. Only about a 10 to 20% chance for showers, but this time tomorrow night, the radar could look like this. I'll explain more and how this may impact trick-or-treaters. That's coming up in my first alert forecast.
All right, Ron, thank you. With the threat of rain tomorrow night, a lot of families decided to go ahead and trick-or-treat tonight. Memphis police, assigned to the Rains Road precinct in Whitehaven, moved their annual trunk-or-treating event to this evening. Hundreds of people, especially the kids, enjoyed lots of free candy and games outside Dominion Church under the watchful eye of their neighborhood officers.
And I just love the way they have our kids out here. We don't have to worry about any shooting. We don't have to worry about any fighting, any killing. The kids can just be kids today.
Memphis police organized a car show to go along with the festivities, and the department's helicopter and patrol horses were also on display.
Carjackings in Memphis are up 87% this year. Another one happened Friday at the Exxon on Winchester near the airport. Memphis police say that the guy in the red shirt hopped out of this SUV and into a black Ford F-150 parked right next to it. The owner of the pickup left it running. He came out of the store and confronted the carjacker. Cops say the suspect pulled out a gun and then took off with the truck. Take a look at this. A homeowner's surveillance camera got a pretty good picture of this suspected thief. Memphis police say the guy stole items from a car in the 5900 block of Lindbrier. That's near I-240 and Walnut Grove Road. The theft happened last Thursday around 3 in the morning. If you recognize him or the suspected carjacker that we just showed you a moment ago, call Crime Stoppers 901-528-CASH.
And to Collierville now, where police need your help identifying these 2 shoplifting suspects. Investigators, excuse me.
That's right. Investigators say they stole an Apple iPad and watch from Target and then took off in a tan SUV. You're asked to call or text Collierville police if you know who they might be.
Feels more like spring today, but I want you to get ready for rain and cooler temperatures, and I'll tell you why this could have an impact on trick-or-treaters. That's coming up in my first alert forecast just minutes away.
Digital athletes cashing in.
I know more people are playing video games than some sports right now.
The big paydays players are seeing and the way colleges are now recruiting them. And Kanye changing course, the thing he says he'll stop doing after his high-profile visit to the White House.